glorious sun, the calm, sweet moon, the spangled sky, causation's laws do make them run. They live in bonds they die. Now know these are the outer crust, all space and time, effect and cause. I am beyond all sense or thought, the witness of the universe. Before the sun, the moon, the earth, before the stars, all comets free, before even time has had its birth, I was, I am, and I will be. No angel I, nor man nor brute, nor body, mind, nor he nor she. The books do stop in wonder mute to tell my nature I am Let eyes grow dim and heart grow faint, and friendship fail and love betray. Let fate its 100 horrors send, and clouded darkness block the way. All nature wear one angry frown to crush you out. Still know my soul, you are divine. March on and on, nor right nor left, but to the goal. The beauteous earth, the glorious sun, the calm, sweet moon, the spangled sky, causation's laws do make them run. They live in bonds they die. From dreams awake, from bonds be free. Be not afraid of this mystery. My shadow cannot frighten me. Know once for all that I am. Know once for all that I am.
Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Among thousands of persons, some rare ones endeavor for perfection. And even amongst those diligently striving for perfection, some, perchance, knows me, God, in truth. The ascent to spiritual liberations, moksha. Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of human life is to see God. Many people say they never heard about this. Yeah, now you know. And this is what Vedanta has declared, that this perfection is inherent in the human soul. And the journey of that human soul is to attain to that perfection called liberation. It also speaks about living while still free, Jivan Mukti. It also speaks of liberation after the fall of the body, Videha Mukti. And for those who have been struggling, have not attained to this, it also speaks of gradual liberation, Krama Mukti. You traverse from one level of existence to the next till you come down to the final point of relative existence and then merge into absolute existence. We will be principally looking at moksha, liberation, through Vedanta. It's obvious that every religion preaches some form of liberation. They call it salvation. And depending on the religion or the philosophy, they state that either it's conditional or unconditional. In Vedanta, it is the liberation from the gross, subtle, and causal aspects of existence. One transcends all names and forms. This idea of liberation is preached by people, mainly by all the religions. Literature and songs and movies and the works, you find them preaching bondage. Everything is bondage. You are bound and bound and bound. You are meant to suffer, and there is no end to suffering, and there you are. Human life is miserable. Well, Vedanta takes the opposite stand. Liberation is real. Bondage is an illusion. And as Swami Vivekananda says, that is consonant with our real nature. We feel that freedom there, deep within. And it is because of that freedom that we feel that life and all sufferings and everything is possible. Yes. So why does this desire for liberation, which is called mumukshutvam, not be awakened in everyone? Well, that is because of what is called samsara. Samsara is the idea that I am an agent and I'm a doer. And when this sense of agency, I am the doer, comes in, you also have the objective world as well as the instrument called the mind that coalesces and keeps on giving you these experiences. And then we get caught up in the web of karma. This is samsara. After we've been tossed about through many births, through different levels of existence, there comes a time when we feel there's a desire for liberation. You have attained all those experiences that are thrown at you by the universe, trying to break that idea that you are the agent. God is the agent. So that's why the Bhagavad Gita also says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. At the end of many, many births, the person of knowledge attains me as a realization, Vasudeva is all this. All this is God. So this is the desire for liberation. Liberation, as we've seen, is also called immortality, perfection, we mentioned. And then we have existence, we have consciousness, different names have been given for the state of moksha, liberation. Swamiji says, consciously or unconsciously, every sentient being and also the insentient things are moving towards freedom. This is the plan of the universe. So in this mighty evolution of nature, nature is pushing us towards this liberation. This is the goal of everything. We may not be consciously aware, but through all our sufferings and joys and sorrows and everything that we do, we are gradually moving towards this. The mighty stream of souls is pouring into this ocean of perfection. Once this is understood, then the meaning and purpose of one's life becomes clear. When you know that you have a direction. This is the plan of the universe, and this has been the plan of the universe from its very inceptions. Swamiji says that we come from freedom, we remain for a while in bondage and go back to freedom. This is the soul's journey to freedom. So the whole of nature is pushing us. And that's the reason why in Vedanta, there is no exclusive claims. Everybody is eligible for liberation. Everybody in the universe. We should not be selfish and say only human beings are competent. There will come a time when the other beings also will attain to that liberation. So the goal of the universe is liberation. And we have been there striving slowly. Something has been impelling us. What motivates us? We speak about free will. Where has this idea of the free will has come in? We speak about God. Why? Because we feel that there has to be somebody who is free. We speak of ourselves as souls, as beyond all bondages. It is that freedom that is percolating down into our consciousness, our everyday consciousness. So bondage and liberation. So there are in this teeming, you can say, souls, there are some who kind of awaken from this dreary dream of bondage and want to make a conscious, a deliberate effort towards freedom. And these are what is called mumukshus, those who desire liberation. Of course, there are some who say, take it easy. No problem. One day or the other, we are going to reach there. So, there is it. But, like I said, there are some mature souls saying, why wait? If you can get it now, why wait? Why become like a kind of a football, being tossed about here and there, kicked about here and there? I want to get to that ocean of perfection, of love, of beauty, of knowledge, of existence. That comes with a kind of a force into us. So we have all seen a spiral. Yeah, I'm using the illustration of a spiral because we are going to talk about pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti is circling away and nivritti is circling towards. So we spiral inwards. When the nivritti starts, then comes the desire for freedom. So both these forces keep this universe alive. True. But when the nivritti, the circling inwards, becomes more dominant, then the liberation for freedom becomes also dominant in our lives. One of the things that all religions have stressed is morality. No impure person can become free. The more unethical one is, the more one is enmeshed in evil. And they think it's the most natural state of life. Oh yes, they don't feel any qualms of hurting other people. Nothing. It's just there. This is what it is. But as we start living an ethical life, we start questioning our motives, our behavior, and then we come away from that kind of life. So this is essential in moksha, in freedom. The basis is an ethical, a moral life. Now, we look at this phenomena of existence and come away from that limited existence to a higher existence. We will look at it also from the subjective standpoint. It's called swasamvedya because you know where you exactly stand in your efforts to come away from it. At the same time, the individual is embedded in the universal. The particular and the general are always one. So there is another thing called the parasamvedya. The others also know indirectly through certain signs. So we will be going down the 10 stages of, can say, dimensions or the spirals toward the center. And each spiral will represent one state of, you can say, elevated existence, one stage of morality, one stage of unselfishness, one stage of bliss. In the world of religions and philosophy, there have always been two lines of inquiry. People look out and they look, my God, who has done this? And for millions of years, humans, at least human more than 100,000 years, a little more, 150,000, they'll be looking around, what's this? Where's this clouds come? Where's the rain and all these things? Who has done all these things? It's like that, who done it? They've tried to find out who has done this. And the inquiry leads them towards a being. We call it God. So in all religions, you find the worship of a deity, or many deities rather, has come from the inquiry from the external world. At one point of time, Swamiji says, in India, that wasn't too satisfying. So the inquiry turned back upon itself and then started, who am I? And the inquiry took in this form. Ko nama bandha, katamesha magada, katam pratishta, katam vimoksha. Where has this illusion come from? This ignorance. Where is it stationed? How will I be free? What is the soul? This inquiry threw up the great doctrine of the Atman. And then we see in the Atman in its absolute aspect of the Paramatman, the Supreme Soul. Both these inquiries are true. At one point of time, they both will converge. It is just a question of maybe culture or upbringing or personality types that one starts with the inquiry either from inside, out, or outside, in. So the first stage of spiritual, you can say, freedom is, as the technical word for that is subhecha in the Vedanta, good resolve. And what happens in this good resolve? The world appears as it is. Everything is as it is, but one's relationship with it has changed. This is the first indication. And the spiritual stirrings within the soul commence. One feels like one is a kind of sojourner, a traveler in this earth. People, places, things seems strange. Now, Swamiji, one of the first songs that he sang to Shri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, "O mind, why do you travel abroad like a stranger in a foreign land, leaving your own home?" So this is the feeling that I'm here in a strange land. One also notices the motives of people and the emptiness of things, and it comes to you as a kind of a big shock. Well, everything has motives and everything. So the world's clamor and glamour now no longer draw you to this. It's not anymore alluring. Nothing. Now the world that was felt like an home is no longer an home. So this is the first stage of the ascent to liberation. In the second stage or second dimension, one's body language changes. And mind language also changes, of course. So subtle changes occur in the body and mind. So you are no longer, you can say, following the dictates of the world. There is a clarity in perceptions. The wild gyrations of the mind have stopped. It's like the calm after the storm. You can see things clearly. You are no longer deluded by what is right and what is wrong. You know. It's perfect. Then there are all these various nadis, as they say, these subtle nerve currents in the body. They awakened. And you feel the rush of prana all over the body. One's voice also changes. Okay. Swamiji says, I never heard of a yogi with a croaking voice. Okay. It's a sweet voice. So these changes are coming. One is more settled. One does not just fly up the handle. Deep inside, there is that great spiritual hankering. It's like a smoldering fire. The contents of your dream also change. The contents of your language also change. You are not using that same old language, worldly language. Your kind of lexicon is changing. You're using a new dictionary. In the third dimension, the third stage, we have something called, the scriptures call as Tanu Manasa, the fineness of the mind. The mind has become very fine. Now there's a major shift in one's consciousness, and that is because the Dhi has opened. D-H-I, Dhi. What is this Dhi? This is the opening of the heart center, or the heart chakra. This is essential because so long you were pulled down by the consciousness which is enmeshed with this world. It is Dhi that gives one a kind of a lift. And in this stage, when the Dhi has opened, we rely more on our higher intuitions than on instinctive behavior. It completely takes over the personality. And one sees, with the opening of the Dhi, like Buddhi, Dhi. In the Gayatri mantra we have, Dhiyo yo na prachodayat. May that superior intelligence in me be awakened. This was a prayer. They wanted that to be awakened. Dhi. One has experiences of many psychic things. Pleasant things also will come, unpleasant things. What do you mean unpleasant? There are many, many deities who had been worshipped in the past for many years, and due to some form of neglect or disaster, those deities have not been worshipped anymore. Those deities are still living in the Chittakash, the space of the mind. They also will appear. Sri Ramakrishna talks about, it's like the fireworks going on off in your chest. The yearning for God increases, and what is important here, you understand people not on the surface. You understand their history. You can understand how this person has come over all these obstacles. Great empathy and great feeling of tenderness comes in. You're not kind of isolated, oh, this is my Dhi has awakened, so nothing to be done. No. One becomes unselfish, kind, loving, compassionate. One understands, saying, no longer is a person now biased or deluded, because the Dhi is this intelligence. It keeps one balanced. Okay. In the fourth dimension, the old ego which we were operating in, and the memory associated with that ego, the autobiographical self, are transcended by this Dhi, this superior intelligence. And another speciality of this Dhi is it gravitates towards the worship of the personal God more than its abstract aspects. What one has studied, what one has learned from the Guru or from the other scriptures or from what has been learned from the elders, now becomes clear. You can join the kind of loose ends. It is here in this stage where the scriptures now reveal their mystical content. When we read the scriptures, it's a straightforward, teaching. Oh no, that's only on the surface. There are many layers of those teachings. And it is this Dhi, this intelligence, awakened intelligence, that you understand the deeper meanings, the mystical meanings of that scriptures. So now, good. So these changes which are happening, well, they're going very good now, very fast. But with every stage, one grows in knowledge and devotion. It is not that you are pulled into this nivritti orbit and you're spiraling down towards the center. You're taking it easy. No. Each stage is associated with tremendous self-effort. Oh, yes. One has to kind of bleed for every inch of the way. So it is this. So suppose you ask me, how long does it take to be in one stage? 1 month? 2 months? Years? Decades? Maybe lifetimes. So that is what has to be kind of remembered. In the 5th stage here, 5th dimension, if you will like, say, when you are performing spiritual practices, japa, dhyana and all, your body feels light and free. The gross body is no longer dragging you down. So you can go for hours and hours and hours and not be fatigued. Your brain, your body does not react. The mantra becomes awakened. It's called the mantra Chaitanya. And as the mantra is awakened, you will feel it emerging from the deepest recesses of your being. And it comes like a roar. The speed is very fast, and it has taken over your repetitions. You don't even have to do it consciously. It repeats by itself. In Vedanta, we have these 5 sheaths. The food sheath, the vital force sheath, the mind sheath, the intelligence sheath, and the bliss sheath. Most of us are in a kind of a disintegrated state of those sheaths. In this stage, all these 5 sheaths become integrated. We spoke about the mantra getting deeper. The chosen ideal, Ishta, also now becomes alive. When you meditate, it is alive. It is in 3 dimensions. Generally, we will meditate on 1 dimension image, kind of static. No, that doesn't happen anymore. It is now you are interacting directly with that chosen ideal inside. So there's still more to go. In the 6th dimensions, what is called is the mind has become even more finer. Your concentration or meditation becomes rock solid, becomes unwavering. And it is here in this stage, all the results of all your good karma that you have done for so long just keeps on pouring in. The results of all your sadhana also, which has become very strong, keep pouring in. And you are, as it were, lifted and pulled by your own self-efforts. You feel it's God's grace. Yes, in a way it's God's grace, but you have worked for it, and those results are now pushing you forward. Obstacles to the old memories will and do emerge, but the power of meditation has become so strong, it can meditate from the atom, anu, to the mahat, to the massive. Your meditation has become unobstructed. It can meditate on anything. And that itself will give you the power to quell all old stupid things that you had done. Yeah. In this stage, you feel that you can even crush a mountain into, you can say, dust. That kind of power and self-confidence does come. And this is extremely essential. No whining here. One suddenly feels great strength, spiritual strength that emerges. So subtle perceptions do come, and as the Upanishad says, like mist, smoke, sun, wind, fire, firefly, lightning, crystal, moon, these forms become the forerunners, as it were, when Brahman is being revealed by yoga. When Brahman is being revealed. Nihara, Ahara, Shuddho, and all these things like Dhuma, Arka, Anila, Anilanam, Khadyota, Sadhu, all these things start emerging. You will have these kind of perceptions. These are extrasensory perceptions. You are not looking for them, but they emerge. These are the milestones that one crosses. It is not absolutely essential that everyone will see these things in a sequence, but some form or the other is seen. So the subconscious mind is controlled. We are being lifted and pushed out. And it is here that the doubt, that old doubt, whether the cosmic mind exists or no, is finally cut. You will experience the universe as mind. You as a part, your mind as a part of that cosmic or universal mind. It is also here that one sees one's individual soul like a flame or a mass of consciousness. Generally, it is like a flame. And after this perception of your soul like a flame, sometimes the light is diffused. Then one gets the vision of the Guru and the Ishta, your chosen ideal. Sri Ramakrishna says that the Guru comes and says, this is your Ishta, your chosen ideal, and then merges into this. You will find that your soul merges, as it were, with the Guru's soul into the Ishta, the Supreme Soul. This, according to dualism, is the realization of the personal God. This is, according to them, it's freedom, mukti. That's moksha. Of course, they also, in the Bhakti Shastras, scripture, they speak about higher stages of identifications of the soul. First, they speak of Salokya in one place. God is there and you are there. Samipya, one gets closer to God. Sarupya, you resemble God, as it were. And then Sayujya, the soul merges into God. That is this identification. After this, one ascends to the seventh stage, or seventh dimension. We are getting closer, don't worry. This seventh dimension is the extremely subtle world called the Bhava Jagat. It is the dimension of, you can say, the subtle universe, the spiritual universe, as that will be better. And Sri Ramakrishna was a king in this realm. Bhava Jagate Raja. You are the king in this realm. Here one finds in this, it is immense. It's like, suddenly you sit down in a spaceship and you travel up into space, and then you look at the immensity of space. Space is flat, it's not curved. That's what these great scientists are speaking about. It's you, as it were, take a bird's eye view and your mind gets boggled. How immense the space is, with billions of billions of galaxies, and each galaxy has billions of stars. What's happening here? This same thing happens in this world of bhava, the bhava rajya. In the spiritual world, when one ascends to this seventh stage, one sees the immensity of this world. Mind-boggling. Everything is suffused with a kind of a white light. It's all joy and bliss. There are innumerable powers that are there in this world of bhava. So we have everything is here. It's in a subtle forms. Like if this world is in a gross modification, in that world everything is in the form of subtle ideas. This whole universe of bhava is nothing but the universe of ideas. It's the mind. So this individual mind now understands it has not been separate from the universal or cosmic mind. It is part of that. You are that. You are also in that bhava realm of bhava. Okay, so then what happens? There's an urge. If you take somebody to a place, new place, and that person looks about, will try to explore things. In this realm, one tends to look around to explore. Everything is so new, everything is so fine, super fine, everything is full of bliss and light, and we want to look about, go about. Don't do that, Vedanta says. Don't do that. Why? You'll get lost. There are so many things, subtle temptations, subtle powers that can deflect you. In fact, a lot of souls get deflected here. The Yoga Sutra warns us, the yogi should not feel allured or flattered by the overtures of celestial beings for fear of evil again. They are called sthanis. There are beings there who have not attained to that perfection they were striving for. They are there. Then the gods and the minor gods, the demigods and semi-gods and everything is there. And you look and then you get, stay a while, traveler. And so one has to not explore this realm. It's important here, but transcend it. But how does one transcend this vast realm? Yes, that is what is, you can say, essential. It is, they say, that one has to constantly meditate on one's mass of consciousness as identified with the universal mass of consciousness, God, for that. One has to get completely identified with God. It is here that the whole universe of bhava is also seen as ideas rising and falling. One hears that universal sound of Om, the cosmic motor, as it says. It is here that all the lower samadhis that one has been practicing unfold, one after the other. It is also here, as one sees this bhava jagat also, rising and falling as ideas. One's conception of God, old conceptions of God are replaced. We think that our kindergarten ideas of God are the only true ones, and that will last till the very end. No, they don't. We are just kind of playing, with mud pies, having one conception of God, replacing it with another. In that stage, one becomes, as it were, dismissive about old conceptions of God. They are being replaced by higher and higher conceptions of God. So this is a very important, you can say, aspect in this dimension. How do you explain God? Avang Manasago, He is beyond speech and mind. So in this stage, the universe of ideas, you and God, the higher conception of God, as it were, coalesce. There is a slight distinction between the three, but they are seen as unity. It is called Sajatiya. Like you have a tree, and a tree has a stem and branches and leaves and fruits and flowers. But it's a tree, for God's sake. Yeah, but it has internal divisions. So one sees in this stage the God, soul, and the universe in all its levels as part of one whole. This is the Vishishta Advaitic Moksha, liberation. Those who have the philosophy of qualified monism. There is difference, but there is also unity. So Vishishta Advaita. Well, the eighth dimension, this is a very high stage now. We have come down to a very long. So in this stage, it is one has transcended the Bhava Jagat, the mighty spiritual realm. And mind you, this mighty spiritual realm is not just on one level, it has many levels. Bhur Swa Mahajana Tapa Satya. So there are various levels. And what happens is, it is here that the mind, which has been practicing yoga and spiritual practices and all this, becomes stilled. And as it becomes stilled, the universe and God and all conceptions of God vanish. One, as it were, is pulled into a kind of a void. If you remember Sri Ramakrishna touching Swamiji in one of his first visits to Dakshineshwar, Swamiji felt his whole personality and everything, individuality, all merging into the void. Seeing the doors, windows, and everything, the floor, all whirling out and merging into space, including my own individuality. So this is what one feels at that stage. So here you find it's a tremendous stage. Yeah, of course. In the ninth, we are coming down almost, we are almost there now. According to the Advaita Vedanta, it's called Sattvapatti, the realization of the absolute truth. It is here that a person is called Brahmavid, the knower of Brahman. One gets the knowledge of Brahman. People say, well, nothing to be done. I am Brahman. They don't know what that Brahman is. It's, we will. And this is being described by Shankaracharya as the wise person realizes in the heart through intense samadhi, the infinite Brahman, which is something of the nature of eternal knowledge and absolute bliss, which has no exemplars, which transcends all limitations, is ever free and without any movement, and which is like the limitless sky, indivisible and absolute. These are the three great verses in the Vivek Chudamani. Kimapi satata bodham. You check this out later on. 408, 409, 410. So here, we have reached. Well, Vedanta does not stop even there. What? No more. No more ideas, no more. I've got realization. The other three aspects of this dimensions, the 10th dimension, as they say, is what we call as Asamshakti, Padartha Bhavani, and Turiyaga. It's a deepening of this stage of knowledge, Brahma Jnana. This has no dimensions, it is dimensionless. So the 10th dimension is without dimension. We have reached the center of our being. Now if you say, what? What was going to happen to me? I've just started. Well. Remember one thing always. It is God that grants us liberation. And specifically, God that descends as an avatar. Towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, after teaching him everything, the Lord tells Arjuna, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suja. Don't grieve. Give up all that what you're doing and surrender unto me, and I will free you from all duality, all sin. So it is God that grants you liberation. Yes. So instead of going through these 10 dimensions, you will go, God will take you quickly through this. Yes, there's no doubt about it. Even Shiva has to give you a mantra that Sri Ramakrishna saw in Kashi. When Shiva, the Divine Mother, untying the knots of karma, and Shiva giving the mantra in the Jiva. It's called a Taraka Brahma mantra. And the Jiva experiences in a brief flash that absolute state and merges into it. This has been the desire of every aspirant, freedom. So we need to go to God. And this God is the best and the easiest method for us to go. So even Sri Ramakrishna says, I am the Kapala Mochan. I am the wiper out of all your past impressions, all what you have done. Swamiji says, I am the wiper out of fact. I raise my hand. I am the wiper out of destiny. Here it is. So Sri Ramakrishna is that Kapala Mochana. If we can go to him, surrender to him, he'll take you through all these things. Ma sucha, do not grieve. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Next Sunday, April 18, Swami Satyamayananda will speak on building your spiritual personality. Tuesdays we have at 4:30 p.m. Narada's Way of Divine Love, Narad Bhakti Sutra by Swami Sarvadevananda. Tuesdays also at 7:30 we have Shanti Gita by Swami Sarvadevananda. Wednesdays at 7:30 we have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Thursdays 7:30 the Bhagavad Gita. Fridays 7:30 Living Wisdom. Saturdays 10 a.m. guided meditation. The title Meditation Skills for Meditators. Sunday we have Sanskrit classes from 9 to 10:35.
There was one comment earlier from Roshan when at 11:35 we were at maybe stage 3 or 4. And he says, all these seem like some fantasy land.
Yeah, it seems, you have used the word seems. And there are people who have realized these stages. So what seems to you may become a reality one day if you really strive.
It seems the talk was well enjoyed. Many thank yous and pranams. And there are no further questions.
Ah.
I have a question. You mentioned about 9:30 on Saturday. What is 9:30?
10 a.m. on Saturday,
Yes.
we have guided meditation classes. On Sunday, we have Sanskrit classes by Sukirta.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Kimapi satata bodham kevalananda rupam nirupamam ativelam nityamuktam niriham niravadi gaganabam nishkalam nirvikalpam hridikalayati vidvan brahma purnam samadho. The wise person realizes in his heart through samadhi the infinite Brahman which is something of the nature of eternal knowledge and absolute bliss, which has no equal, which transcends all limitations, is ever free and without activity, and which is like the limitless sky, indivisible and absolute. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. We surrender all the fruits of this to Shri Ram Krishna.